So we're in this series, No Regrets, that we've started our year with, where we're trying to identify how we can live with no regrets, but not just for this series, not just for this year, but trying to learn things that are fundamental to following Jesus in a way that can help us live our lives to the fullest. And so we like to start these messages in different ways, fun ways that we can engage with you with, and sometimes we like to do it through music. So I'm gonna guess you've probably heard this next song we're about to do. And so if you know it, you can sing along, but we invite you to just sit back and enjoy.
Slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping into the future. I wanna fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I wanna fly like an eagle till I'm free. Oh, Lord, the revolution. Feed the babies who don't have enough to eat. Shoe the children with no shoes on their feet. House the people living in the street. Oh, there's a solution. I wanna fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I wanna fly like an eagle till I'm free. Oh, Lord, the revolution. Time keeps on slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping into the future. Oh, time keeps on slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping into the future.
Time keeps on slipping into the future. How many of us here remember that song coming out? How many of us here remember it from Space Jam? Hey, 2 generations, all right, yeah. Hey, I think it's funny that the songs we've been doing over the course of this series the past few weeks are songs that we know a single lyric of. You know, like, dream on, or if I could turn back time. I could buy me a boat, which, I'm not going to sing that one. I'll get to that one more in a second. Or I want to fly like an eagle to the sea, or time keeps on slipping. As someone who didn't grow up with any of these songs, including the boat one, because I don't do country music. Sorry, not sorry, I know. I still know all of the iconic parts to these songs like we all do. But as I've learned to play them and learn more of the lyrics over the past few weeks, I've come to realize that in nearly every case, these songs are a little deeper and more reflective than I had originally thought. Maybe I'm the only one. Dream On reflects on the past and hopes for a better future. If I Could Turn Back Time talks about the regret of saying things we don't mean. And if we could just turn back time, we'd do it differently. Fly Like an Eagle reminds us that time, it just keeps moving on. And it inspires us to let go and live a life of trying to help others. And they say classic rock was all about drugs, alcohol, and women. Come on. As we continue to learn what it means to live with no regrets in 2025, and as I prepared for today, I noticed a theme running through all of these songs that really is not that hard to find. underneath the lament about the past or the regret about the words we've spoken and the desire to live a full life lies a commonality between us all. And it wasn't planned this way, but it highlights a place we all find ourselves in, a situation that we didn't choose. And it's telling because all of our lives, just like the songs, they're so different, so unique and special. And yet, there's an unstoppable current that we're all caught in every moment of every day, the flow of time. Like a powerful river, time never stops moving. And each of us is in a raft without a paddle, steadily moving toward our ultimate destination. Sometimes we're able to see the end of the river approaching, and sometimes we're not. Either way, there is no telling when or how long the journey is going to last. But we float down the twists and turns all the same. It's kind of mysterious, really. And we try to quantify and measure it, but at the end of the day, we understand so little about it. Time, that is. Despite the mystery, though, there is a way we can live our lives, taking as much control of our time as we can. And if we'll learn how, 2025 can be the year where we don't have regrets about how we spent it. Because it's not a matter of if you'll spend it. You have to. But you and I can be wise about it. And as with a lot of spiritual truths, our faithful ancestors from the Bible seem to grasp the concept of time and its fragility more than our current culture does. In Psalm 90, we find an extremely powerful verse that is the key to unlocking a life with no regrets with our time. And we'll get to that verse in just a second. But first, let's check out the very beginning of the psalm and let's set the stage. Lord, you have been our dwelling place throughout all generations. Before the mountains were born, or you brought forth the whole world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. You turn people back to dust, saying, return to dust, you mortals. 1,000 years in your sight are like a day that has just gone by, or like a watch in the night. You see, for God, time is irrelevant. As the creator and sustainer of time itself, God is unbound and unchained by it. The scripture says right here that 1,000 years are but a moment to God. Whereas you and I, we tend to have the opposite problem. My son, Luca, and yeah, I know, I talk about my kids a lot, okay? They're cute, they're adorable, you just gotta deal with it. But my son, Luca, has become quite the chatterbox. Unlike his sister, Oakland, Luca will just blah, 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 blah. Around the house, in the grocery store, in bed at night, to himself. I mean, my man will just be playing in the playroom alone, and he's just talking. He's not like pretending that he's like this character or this character, and they're talking to each other. No, he's just talking. It's just him talking about nothing to nobody. He's just talking. And in most cases, it's cute, and I love it. But it just so happens that at the exact same time he's reached this blabbermouth phase, he's also reached his why phase. Yeah, exactly. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Yeah. I mean, I heard some talk about this phase as I was starting to have kids, but if you know my daughter, Oakland, she avoided this altogether. In fact, she's the opposite. She says, I know to everything, which, has its own set of issues, but we'll get there. But, me being an idiot, I was like, well, my son is going to be fine. He's not going to do this. Oh, no. I mean, it legitimately doesn't matter what somebody says. Luca says, why? The most benign statements will prompt him. Why? Hey, y'all, I'm home. Why? Because I want to be. It's cold outside today. Why? The sun is further. I don't know. Just stop, man. Just please, geez. Like, as I was preparing, I was trying to craft a sentence that I wouldn't say in my normal life, but that might prevent him from saying why. It was so benign, so just straight to the point, and I couldn't think of it. The best I could come up with was shoes were designed for feet. How do you ask why to that question? But he would. Why? Dog, just stop, man. Please. I promise, I'm trying to be a good dad. I just try and stay patient, try to have some fun with it. Like sometimes I'll make a joke that I think is funny. Maybe no one else will, but I'll say something super benign like that, like just to get him to say why. I'll be like, shoes were designed for feet. And he'll say, why? And then I'll respond with something totally out of left field. I'll say, well, because some people think the earth is flat. Just to see what he'll say. Now, these statements couldn't be more unrelated, but he's 2. So for him, we're having a perfectly reasonable conversation. It's totally normal, which requires more detail. Why? You know what? You're right, Luca. Wherever you are right now, you're right. Maybe I should ask, why are you doing this to me, God? Why? In the middle of my child's aggravating curiosity, 1,000 years does not feel like a day. Rather, a single minute feels like 1,000 hours. And maybe you felt this way before. Sitting at work, at your desk, at class, in school, you're so bored, you're ready to leave. You check the clock, it's 2:50. Okay, you know what? It's been a long day, but there's only 10 minutes left. Get off at 3, bell rings at 3, whatever. I'm ready. I can do this. 10 minutes. So, you sit up straight in your seat, you crack your knuckles maybe, you get ready, and you just get to work. You put your head down, you get going. You're doing the work, filling out the spreadsheet, sending the emails, doing the quiz, doing the homework early, whatever it is. You're pumped, you're getting it done, you're full of adrenaline, extremely productive, and you're sweating at the end of it because you've been working so hard. You're like, yes, I am so done. That was awesome. I'm ready to leave. It's definitely 3 o'clock. You check your phone, 2:53. What in the world? It can be so frustrating when time feels like it crawls so slowly. Of course, we know that's not really what's happening. I mean, the passing of time is about the most consistent thing that exists. And when compared to how God experiences time, the time we have, it's nothing more than the blink of an eye or the beat of a heart. The psalmist continues and says it like this: "Yet you sweep away people in the sleep of death. They are like the new grass of the morning. In the morning it springs up new, but by evening it is dry and withered. Our days may come to 70 years or 80 if our strength endures. Yet the best of them are but trouble and sorrow, for they quickly pass and we fly away." This isn't exactly the message of hope you were expecting to hear today, I assume. The psalmist isn't quite painting the feel-good, everything's going to be all right picture with these words. But it's always important to keep in mind when you're reading Scripture, just as a side note, that there is in fact a person who wrote these words. And at least in part, they're speaking from their own experience whenever they wrote them. So maybe this person was just having a bad day. And that might be true, but that circumstance aside, they are highlighting the same truth we're talking about. Time is unrelenting. It's coming at us and moving past us, whether we like it or not. It's a type of currency that we can't buy or work for or save or earn, and we can't even count it beyond the moment that we have now. At best, the psalmist says, we have 80 years or so, if we're lucky, and none of that is actually guaranteed. So what do we do with time if it's out of our control? I mean, how do we make sure that we can live a life of no regrets with this currency that we can't do anything with? Well, the answer lies in what they write next. Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Interesting. Because I thought you and the psalmist just said we couldn't actually quantify how much time we have. If we can't measure, save, or buy more time, then how can we possibly number our days? I mean, I understand maybe some confusion, I do. And I'm sure most of us have heard a phrase similar to this one before, maybe something more like, your days are numbered. Now, yeah, if you're anything like me, you know that statement, it's usually negative, right? It comes with a negative connotation. It can almost be a threat, too. Either that or some version of it is delivered with bad news at the doctor's office or at work. The point being, it's very rarely a good thing to have numbered days. So why would the writer of the psalm ask God to teach him how to number his days? Because he isn't asking God to see into the future or know the extent of the amount of time left he has left to live. Instead, he's asking God to help him and to help us take advantage of the one moment of time we do have some control over. This one. Not a single one of us is promised another year, another month, or even another day. But we've all been given this day. We all have right now. And to number our days isn't to assume we have more of them left, but to acknowledge the one we do have and to vow to leverage it the best we can for the glory and purpose of God. I think it's helpful to compare time to a different form of currency that we've talked about recently to help us gain a little more understanding of what I'm trying to say. Let's think about money for a second. Now, a couple weeks ago, our senior pastor, Brian Hughes, gave us some powerful tools we can use right now in order to treat our money like the gift that it is, including gratitude for what it is we already have. So check that out. If you missed it, it's on our website, it's on our YouTube, wherever you go, you need to see it if you didn't. It's incredible. But money, as we all know, it's a currency that we have considerable control over. I mean, if we have it, we can spend it on whatever we want. Collect more of it by working a job or 2 or 3, selling goods or doing crafts or selling things we already have that we don't need to get more money. We can do that. We can save it and be responsible with it. So when a hard season comes, or maybe a day you're really looking forward to comes, a big vacation or a wedding day, you're ready to do it. You're ready to handle it. You don't need to worry about where the money's coming from. I mean, we can invest money. We can divest money. We can give it away. We can throw it away, although I wouldn't do that, but you can. I mean, honestly, if we have it, we can choose to do whatever we want with it. And for almost everyone within the sound of my voice, money is something you have fairly easy access to, even if it doesn't feel that way. But what if you didn't? What if you had no control over the money you had? Or rather, had no money at all unless it was given to you? And I don't mean like, imagine you don't have a job or you have no way of making an income. I mean, imagine truly it worked this way. What if when you woke up in the morning, you had $0 and you didn't know if you were going to have money until you looked at your bank account? And look, you still had the bills to pay, groceries to buy, mortgages and debt to pay back, all the things. And should money be in your account, you could do whatever you wanted with it. But again, at the start of every day, there was none until you looked. And if it was there, great. If it wasn't, it wasn't. And if it comes, it'll be enough to get you exactly what you need. But you'll never know it came until you wake up and check. If it was like that, wouldn't your financial decisions change? Wouldn't most of us shift our priorities to make absolutely sure we spent our money in the wisest and most effective way possible? Wouldn't almost everyone stop buying the things they don't need and use their money on only the things they do? I mean, if that's how it worked, things like debt and bankruptcy, gambling, they would just disappear because we would be hyper aware that if we messed this up, if we spent our money frivolously, there were going to be serious and immediate consequences that don't just affect us, but the people around us that we love. So why don't we treat time this way? Because that's how it works. It's exactly how it works with our time. Every moment is a gift we're given by God that we cannot get more of on our own. And truly, we have no way of knowing if we're going to get any more of it beyond right now. We find out when we wake up. To number our days is to recognize this, to see it as a reality, and then say to ourselves, I've been given this time by God to be used for his purpose in my life. And if today is all I have, I'm going to live it in such a way that would make him proud, should he not give me any more. You see, because no matter how well or intentionally you or I have planned for the future, there's always the chance that that future we envision may never come. And that's not meant to scare us. That's been the reality this whole time. It's simply to highlight and realize anew that time isn't ours to buy or to sell, to hoard, slow down, or stop as much as we want to. It's a gift given to us to experience and to live. Earlier, I suggested that the passing of time is like a river. Now, I'm far from the first person to do that, but I like the metaphor, and I think it works really well. I mean, time, like a river, it only ever flows in the one direction. And a river flowing fast enough, it can't be traversed backwards, just like time. However, I also said earlier that time is like being on a river without a paddle. Now, I don't actually think that's entirely true. I think what's more accurate is to say that many of us don't use the paddle sitting in our raft. Because get this, we live our lives in a way that assumes the river stretches on forever. Now, we all know intellectually that it doesn't, but our actions suggest we believe otherwise. Fortunately for us, well, fortunately for me, I guess I'll say, there is no record I can access of how much time I've wasted over the course of my life. Because I'm convinced that if there were, man, I'd just be ashamed of how many hours would be on the time-wasted clock. I seriously just cringe thinking about it. But praise God that he's been so faithful to me to give me more time despite how I've wasted chunks of it. As with any gift God gives, I don't deserve it, and I'm grateful for it. Of course, I haven't wasted all of it, though, and neither have you. And I feel confident that if you and I can learn to use it more intentionally from now until we're done, we can be better and we can live a life of no regrets. I think that's what the paddle in our metaphor is. And I think it appears in our scripture as well. Let's check it out one more time. Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. You see, there is a benefit to numbering our days, numbering this day, that's beyond just having gratitude for it, just being thankful for the day. The psalmist tells us that if we'll recognize the gift of today, we'll learn to leverage it and navigate it with wisdom. And as a result, each subsequent day will be even fuller and richer than the one before. Wisdom is the paddle. Because while we might not be able to move backward on the river, and we're certainly not fast enough or strong enough to move forward, we can steer side to side. And along the way, avoid potential mistakes and heartaches and mishaps, and of course, steer toward the good, wise decisions. Wisdom is knowing what the best use of our time is, and that'll help us focus and live into God's plan for it. Now, of course, the journey's not going to be perfect. Sometimes, much like the psalm suggested earlier, even the best days can be full of trouble and sorrow. There are still many things on this river outside of our control, and yet it flows on still. And despite the obstacles in front of us, we can use our gained wisdom from numbering our days to make the best decision with our time. Like I said, it doesn't mean life's going to be easy. It just means life is going to be intentional, purposeful, and used wisely. And should you reach the end of the river and you lay down to sleep tonight, having done this, you'll be able to confidently say that you have no regrets about how the day went, even if it was hard, because you know you lived it to the fullest extent possible. Now, I'll say that as I get older, I feel like time moves by faster and faster. The time I've already spent with my wife and kids, it really messes with my brain, honestly. On the one hand, I can't believe my son will be 3 in a month. I can't believe my daughter will be 7 this summer. I mean, heck, I'm going to be 35 in October. My wife, she's going to be, well, I shouldn't. But I can't, at the same time, I can't remember my life without them. Any memory I have before marrying Megan, it feels like it was a literal lifetime ago. I feel like all I've ever had or known about my life has been with them. And it's funny how on the one hand, it feels so fast because all of this life is happening, and yet it feels so slow at the same time. The other day, Megan and I were sitting in the kitchen at our house. She was taking down our 2024 wall calendar. Yeah, we do the wall calendar thing. We've learned that in order to be more intentional with our time, we basically have to calendar everything that we can. Now, I use my phone for almost all of the calendaring that I do. It's just easier, and I've tried to no avail to get Megan to use hers so we can literally sync our calendars together. But Megan's got a bit of an old soul, which should give you a hint about her age. But anyway, love you. But it's fine. I actually love it. I love that about her, and we make it work. It's awesome. Anyway, we've really recently been into these Thomas Kincaid Disney calendars. There's a ton of classic Disney movie scenes in here that are kind of related to the season or holiday that for the month that they're in. So it's fun to get the next one and open up to our birthday months, for example, and see what's going on. So we can do that real quick because this is kind of what we do. We flip to February because that's Megan's birthday month, and we're like, oh, so cute. It's always some lovey type scene because, Valentine's Day kind of thing. And this is the lady in the, well, actually, you know what? I don't know if I can say that anymore. The 2 dogs that love each other. Yeah, like Romeo and Juliet dogs kind of thing, if you've seen the movie. Anyway, yeah, this is her month, so that's fun. Luca's is March, so he got Alice in Wonderland. I guess spring is kind of what they were going for. But yeah, no, it's pretty cool. I mean, he doesn't know. He would say, why, So then we head to July, Oakland's birth month, and she's got Moana, which, she loves. Beautiful, it's the cover, so she loves that hers is on the cover. Of course, then my birthday's in October, and so they're like, what's in October? Halloween. So every time it's basically ruin and death and in malice. I mean, the town is on fire right here. I thought this was Disney. So I opened mine, and I'm like, yay, happy birthday to me. Anyway, so shout out Maleficent for that. Anyway, so this is, we put our new one up. This is our actual 2024 calendar, and we took this one down. And the reality of all the time that we spent in 2024, all the life that we did and that had just passed, it kind of hit me like a truck as we took this down. It was in my hand, I was holding it, and it just suddenly hit to me, it dawned on me. So I held it up to Megan and I said, babe, an entire year of our lives is right here. So much life lived, all contained in a 12 by 12 square that's less than a half-inch thick. And I was just staring at this thing, replaying all the moments we had in 2024 in my mind as best I could. Some I remember well, some I barely remember at all. And as I look at it right now, I wonder to myself, can I actually put this calendar away knowing I gave everything I had to God in 2024? My honest answer, no. I mean, I did, and my family and I did. I feel like we did a lot of good in 2024 with each other, with friends, with church, with y'all. But we can be better in 2025. We can be more intentional. we can learn, I can learn to number my days, to number this day, and gain a heart of wisdom along the way. And with God's blessing, we'll be given enough days to reach the 2026 calendar. And next year, maybe my honest answer can be yes. One last thought. This calendar here represents 1 year of potential life lived, of days numbered out of gratitude, and hopefully full of wisdom gained. If our strength endures, as the psalmist says, we'll get about 70, 80 of these, maybe more. Well, before you are 78, 79 wall calendars. The entirety of the average person's lifespan right here on this table. This, if God gives you all the time our mortal bodies can handle, this is it. What are you going to do with it? So, I spent this one already, and this one, and this one, and this one. If I had to just eyeball it, I think I've spent these. People call me young. Some people call me young. What are you going to do with what's left? Will you treat it all as a given? Something that you have a natural born right to, something that's yours, something that you can just use or waste however you see fit? And by doing so, will you reach the end of this stack, however big your stack may be, and realize that you left so much on the table? Or will you number your days? Gain the wisdom that comes from time used for God's purpose, and reach the end, knowing you've given it everything you could. On the best and on the worst days, will you consider all the time you have on this earth with the people that you love a gift? We wanted to give you a moment at every one of our campuses to decide and to commit together. As your campus pastor or host takes over, really consider what numbering your days would look like and how your life could be full of intentionality and meaning as you follow God's plan for it. So let's do it together. Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. This is easier said than done, but it can be done. When you came in today, there was a card and a pen on your seat. You can go ahead and grab that. We're going to use that here. If there's an open seat next to you and you can't find yours, it's totally okay. Go ahead and grab that one. And for the next few moments, consider what numbering your days would look like and make the commitment to doing it. Maybe for you, it's being more intentional with your family time. Maybe it's limiting your social media usage to make room for more productive things. Maybe you don't know what it is. So you'll just write a prayer on yours, asking God to show you how to number your days. Whatever it is for you, use this moment to write it down. And you don't have to turn this card in or show it to anyone else. It's for you to take with you. So don't hold back. And after a little bit of time, we'll have one more short moment together, and then we'll be done for today. So go ahead and do it now. may we consider each new day a blessing that we don't deserve. May we learn to number our days and gain a heart of wisdom, making the most of the time we're given. And may we use it all for the glory and purpose of God, knowing that when we have no more of it left, we lived lives that mattered. Amen. Thank you for your time today. See you soon.